I'd like to welcome the Oxnard Elementary School District today. Teresa Rubalcaba, Manager of Equity and Family Community Engagement. It's an honor to have you here today, together with Alberto Mendoza, a parent and community liaison as well. So I will hand it off to you, Tere, to go ahead and begin the presentation.
Okay, good morning and welcome everyone, and thank you for choosing our session. My name is Teresa Rubalcaba and I'm the Manager of Equity, Family and Community Engagement in the Oxnard School District. And co-presenting with me is Alberto Mendoza, our Parent Support Liaison. So we will be sharing a little bit about our culturally responsive practices in family and community engagement.
Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to go ahead and start by sharing a great definition of what culture responsive family engagement is. And this is a definition from the Metropolitan Center for Research on Equity and Transformation of Schools. And it's this: the practice of authentic, equal partnerships with families rooted in a deep knowledge and appreciation for the rich social and cultural identities, assets, habits, and contexts that families bring to learning. Okay, so as you heard this definition, I want you to take some time and put in the chat, go ahead and put maybe some keywords that stand out for you or resonate with you when you hear this definition. When you see this definition, if you want to go ahead and just take 1 minute, we'll take just 30, 45 seconds, just put in the chat, what words really stood out to you in this definition, what really pops at you. Okay, I see knowledge and appreciation, authentic again. Let's see, equal partnership, appreciation, authentic, equal, authentic, deep knowledge, assets, context, authentic, equal, authentic, okay. Awesome. 2 minutes, I can't read all of them. Sorry, you guys are typing too fast now, but okay, so I'm definitely seeing one that keeps coming up is authentic. So culture responsive practices they have to be authentic to all of you. What you really see is authentic. You want to have real connections, real partnerships with these families. We don't want to just learn about them. We want to be part of that community. We want to be part of those families, what they partake in, and not just, like I said, not just be participants, but be, like I said, contributors. We want to be able to see how we can be part of that community. And you can go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So as we think, we think about these, the answers you gave us, what you see, what you believe are culture responsive, keywords from that definition. I just want to share some of these practices that we at Oxnard School District have in place right now. This is just a general list of some of the things we're doing. After Ms. Rolcaba is going to go in more depth on one of these practices, but I'm just going to go ahead and read some of these for you. These are we have some regular meetings with racially and culturally diverse families for relationships and trust, and we gather feedback. From this feedback is we gather some of our future topics, future events, future workshops for our parents and our families. We have multicultural events to foster cross-cultural understandings and awareness. Again, these are being planned out with our parents and through these regular meetings. We have family engagement plans at each school aligned with research on best practices. We have district level Mixteco speaking family liaisons, and this is geared directly with our community because of our Mixteco population. We have about 600 students that are Mixteco speaking. So again, this is a practice geared directly for us. Base committees with diverse representation guided by district strategic plan and student profile. We have leadership workshops for parents, both in English and in Spanish. That's something that's new to us, the English classes. For some time we just have them for Spanish speaking parents, but now we want some of our parents also that are in English speaking to kind of join these workshops as well. We have cultural responsive PD for teachers and administrators, instructional rounds, and we're currently piloting ethnic studies course in middle school, one of our middle schools, and LCAP goals for family and community engagement. And again, these are just, a list of our practices later towards the end of the presentation. We hope to have some time to answer some questions on some of these that you might have. But now Ms. Rubalcaba is going to go in more in depth in one of these practices specifically.
Thank you, Alberto. So Alberto just gave you an overview of some of our culturally responsive family engagement practices. But for today's presentation, we wanted to focus on one of these practices. And we chose this one because it's in alignment with our problem of practice. And our problem of practice was that our district needed to create the space and the opportunities for our African-American families to engage in meaningful ways. So I wanted to start by showing you the breakdown of our African-American students by school. And I just wanted to mention that this is just showing race 1. It does not include our biracial students or families that identify with more than one race. But we have about 2% of our student population that is African-American, so it's about 250. And just wanted to share these visuals so that to create some context for this conversation. And I wanted to really focus today on our journey. So when we, as a district, several years ago, identified this area for improvement, we realized that the district was doing a great job engaging our Spanish-speaking families through DLAC, supporting the schools, Project to Inspire classes for our Spanish-speaking families. And then the district realized that we needed to increase our efforts in engaging our African-American and Mixteco-speaking families. But for today's purpose, I would like to focus on our journey on how we started with a problem of practice and the steps that we took and that we continue to take as we continue to implement this problem of practice. And that will be focusing on the engagement of our African-American families. So we started by identifying our problem of practice, like I said, through our participation in CEI. So they gave us the time, they gave us the knowledge, the resources, the tools, and the time to really dig deep into the root causes of our problem of practice and to come up with something that we have been implementing since then. Then the next step, and these steps happened in the sequence that you see them here. So the next step was to identify our African-American families, like who are our African-American families? Where are they at our schools? How many families do we have? And not only including families that identified as Black or African-American for race 1, but also including our biracial families or families that identify with more than one ethnicity. Then after we did that, then we sent out a survey, an interest survey to all of our African-American families. And we asked them, will you be interested in coming together to this space that we are opening for you so that you can let us know what you would like us to do, that you are not seeing, that is not happening at your school or in the district. And we got a very positive response from our families. And so that was the green light to let's move forward. There's a need for us to create this space for our families. Then the next step was to assemble an African-American steering committee with diverse representation. So invites came from me to different people in the community, people that work at local universities, different sororities, making sure that we had representation from our schools, from our parent community, students, outreach resource specialists, counselors. And so we created a very strong African-American steering committee. And from there, we were very intentional on scheduling regular committee meetings and parent meetings. So that happened early in the year where we look at our calendar and we were very intentional on scheduling all of these meetings. And so the focus of our very first meetings were mostly on listening, engaging in deep listening because we wanted to hear from our families what's working, what's not working, and start building that trust and start building those relationships and letting them know like this space is for you. We want to ensure that your voices are being heard and we want to know from you. We want to learn from you. So our initial focus was, and we continue to have that focus, but now it's shifting a little bit because we have gathered so much feedback already that we are now focusing on acting on the feedback. But at the beginning, it was mostly deep listening, learning, and then sharing information with families as well, because at every meeting, we gather feedback from our families. Like, what topics are you interested in learning a little bit more about? What do you think the focus should be of these meetings? And then based on that feedback, we brought different presentations or different topics that provided information to our families. And we also, the focus of these meetings was also to elicit input for decision making, because these meetings are at the district level, and our families are engaging in decision making by telling us how we should use LCAP funding, ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 funds when we first got them a couple of years ago or last year. And then even things like the new layout of the new district website. So we want to ensure that our families are participating, not as just like passive participants, but they are truly engaged in the decisions that the district is making for our students and for our families. Then at some point, the next steps are not in sequence, but there's flexibility on when those things were happening. We as a group, with input from our families, from our committee, we develop a shared vision statement. And that vision says to uplift the voices of African-American students and families through culturally and historically responsive policies and practices that elevate African-American joy and excellence in a diverse, inclusive, and equitable environment. So that's the vision that we came up with. And it was a very long process. It took many meetings. We gathered feedback from different educational partners and from our families, and we came up with that great, wonderful vision statement that we really try to stick to it and align our practices to that vision. And acting on the feedback, like I said, that is an ongoing process. We have been doing this all along the way. From the beginning until now, we gather feedback and then we listen and then we analyze and say, okay, these are the next steps that we need to do. So that feedback really helped us to drive our next steps. And we have also been incorporating, like Alberto mentioned, some cultural events to build cross-cultural understandings and to continue to build trust and relationships with our families. And the feedback that we have gathered so far from all of our parent groups, but speaking specifically about our African-American community, we share that feedback with school administrators so that they know what our families are telling us here at the district level. We share the feedback with counselors. I had a meeting with counselors where we went over the feedback, the things that our families would like to see happening at our schools. And I also share the feedback with our resource specialists. We have 20 resource specialists, one at each school, and they are all aware of what our families are telling us. So now the next step is to support our schools to continue the work at the site level. Another thing in this journey is that we have seen is our LCAP actions look different now. And this is in response to the feedback. So based on the feedback that we have received from our African-American community, our families, we have purchased multicultural classroom libraries for every single teacher in our district. We have implemented professional development and culturally responsive teaching and learning for teachers and administrators. We have an outside consultant that is working with our administrators on doing instructional rounds through the lens of being culturally responsive. And we also started piloting an ethnic studies elective course for our middle school students at 3 of our schools. We have about 60 or 70 students that are participating in the ethnic studies elective, and we hope that it will be a required course moving forward. And the ongoing review of parent feedback, like I said, and review of student data, that's kind of one of my jobs, is to do ongoing review of data, not only academic data, but attendance, suspension rates, discipline issues, and comparing how different student groups are doing and how our African-American, Mixteco, Spanish-speaking, newcomer students are doing in this area and try to address any discrepancies that we find. And then the next steps for us will be to empower our parents as leaders and to also build a teacher capacity on culturally responsive family and community engagement and incorporating that knowledge into their lesson design. So for us, those are our next steps, but we will continue to strengthen our practices. We just felt like we wanted to share with you our journey because like Mars said, if you see something that is working, you need to standardize it. And this is the very same process that you see here is the same process that we follow in engaging our Mixteco speaking families. And this is the same process that we are following now that we are reaching out to our Asian American and Pacific Islander families. So it is a process that we feel that has been successful to us and we want to replicate it. One thing that I do want to mention is that even though we started with an African American steering committee, now that committee is merging into a parent community advisory group because the committee will now more be like a planning committee for events, but because we already have so much feedback, we're going to merge the two groups. So instead of having separate parent meetings and separate committee meetings, we are combining these two into one. Okay, so some examples of engagement, specifically addressing our engagement with our African-American families and students. It's in our meetings with our families, we and the committee, we have had reading discussions on this wonderful document that was in one of the AXA magazines. Many of you might be familiar with this. It's called the African American Learner Guide and Task Force to Improve Black Student Achievement. Another example of engagement is we had a Kwanzaa celebration with a book reading and focusing on celebrating African American joy and culture and strengths and coming from that asset-based perspective. We had our first Black History Month celebration district-wide at one of our schools. It was super successful, and we put it together with the input from our families and the input from the committee. We all played a key role in ensuring that it was a successful event and an opportunity for our families to come together. It was open to the whole district. So it was an opportunity to have people come and learn and interact and learn from our diverse culture or our diverse cultures in our community. We also have guest speakers in the ethnic studies classes. I was just there last week, and we had a speaker, a professor from a local university, come and read a book on Harlem Renaissance to students, and they were engaged in deep conversations about Harlem Renaissance and the history and how it has evolved and all of that. And then Juneteenth celebration, every year we have a Juneteenth celebration with our families that includes a book reading and just learning about Juneteenth. And we try to incorporate hands-on activities, engaging activities where families are doing or creating something with their students. So these are just some examples of engagement. And I believe next is we have a very short video. So I'm just gonna go ahead and minimize my screen and open this link. And this video is on our Black History celebratory event that we had in February. And it highlights a little bit of what happened that night. So let me go ahead and open the video.
You gotta unshare your screen and reshare it where you share the YouTube video. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, so let me. Let me go ahead and stop share. I know you can still hear the.
No, we can't hear the audio. You're okay.
No, we can't hear. Tere.
Okay.
Desire and dedication to persevere. She was a woman who triumphed despite all the tragedies that happened in her life. Tragedies that did not her dream. She had been every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember you have within you, and I'm talking about all of you, the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars.
We have another tab open. It's plain Q audio. Speak. Okay, now we're good.
We good now?
Good morning. I'm Matthew Rubin, the principal of Kamala School.
Thank you, Tere.
You're muted.
Thank you, Tere. We can't hear you. You're muted.
Supervisor Nicole Taylor to lead us in the pledge.
Tere, you want to tie up?
Okay, I just want to apologize. I don't know how we were listening to like two audios at the same time, but I think hopefully you got to see some highlights of the event. And I think like Mar said, we need to celebrate what we do. And we feel like it was a very successful event. And for us, it's not just an event. If we think about Dr. Karen Mapp's dual capacity building framework, and how we need to be intentional on ensuring that we have the conditions in place to do this work. And some of those conditions are building trust and relationships, and events are like a perfect opportunity to do that with our communities.
Okay, well, thank you, Tere. And we're going to move on to have a debrief about around this spotlight. We're going to go to our circle, square, and triangle activity. I'm going to have to have the screen on escape so that I can go ahead and write in the notes. And so I'm going to just go ahead and here, just I want everyone to kind of think what circles, what questions are circling in your head around the spotlight, what ideas or concepts maybe square with you, or 3 points to remember. And so we're going to go ahead and hear from you, and we'll take the notes. I have to have it on this mode because I can't be typing in without. Actually, if you have some comments as well, Elizabeth and Maria will be capturing those comments in the chat, and they can drop them also in the circle, square, and triangle. So we can start out with What ideas or questions are circling in your head? Anybody want to?
Hi, Tony. Miriam has her hand up.
Thank you. I have a question. So is there a way that you have similar events, dedicated towards like the Hispanic community or other cultures so that they feel inclusive as well?
Yes, we do. And but today we were highlighting our journey in engaging our African American families, but we did have a celebrating Mesoamerican tradition / Dia de los Muertos. And we brought in a Zapotec artist to show our families how to create art using nature, using plants, using insects. And it was primarily focused to highlight the Mixtec culture in our community and and then we also had a DLAC convivio with our DLAC families. We had a keynote speaker. It was like a potluck type of event to provide that space and opportunity for our Spanish-speaking families to come together. So yes, to answer your question, we do have a lot of ongoing events. We have an event coming up with our newcomer families. We are inviting a local author of a book. He will be sharing his experience as a newcomer himself and talking about his journey and the challenges and the resiliency that helped him to now be a biologist and a writer. So that is coming up. So we do have a lot of events going on throughout the year.
Tony, do you see the other hands?
Go ahead and name out the hands because I do not
Okay.
see the hands.
Next, Mr. Heiser or Hessler?
Heisler. Hola, it's Heisler. So my question is, based on, since you saw that your African American parents or your Black parents, you wanted to increase them, what are your statistics on it now? How many more engagement have you had? And are you keeping track of how many more assist and how it's developing?
Yes, we have definitely seen an increase in the engagement of our African American families. And most importantly, I don't know if Lola is in this group. Some of our parents are now saying, like, I want to be part of CEI. I want to be part of the district family and community engagement committee. So we are seeing a lot more parents willing to take on leadership roles. And this is because they feel that they are now in an environment that they can trust and they feel welcomed. And now they have that confidence that we are here to work together to build their leadership skills and to support us in the work that we're doing in family and community engagement. But we do track the data. We track attendance, but attendance is just a number. We look at the feedback that we continue to get from our families, and the feedback is looking good. It is not always positive, but that's good because we learn from the things that are, we need to know what we are not doing right? And we should welcome that feedback as well and learn from the feedback and grow together to make it better.
Anyone else with their hands up, Elizabeth or
Tony?
Patricia
Yes,
Luna?
Tony
Oh.
Patricia Luna.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Patrice.
Patricia.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, Patricia, adelante. Bienvenida.
Thank you so much for what you shared with us. It is very beautiful. And I hear that you said a student from a college came to read to the students, but I was also wondering if you have more community partners that are supporting you on this amazing job that you're doing with the African American families. And you mentioned also the Mixteco families, which is another, I mean, even though they're Hispanics, but it's another language that we had to work with it and another culture. So I was wondering if you have more partnership in your community that are supporting your initiative, and which ways are they supporting you? And thank you. The video and everything, it was really, inspiring.
Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you for your question. Yes, we have very strong partners with our community. We have a partnership with an association that is called the Links, and sororities in the community, African American sororities like Alpha Kappa Gamma, and we partner with the coordinators of our African American Speech Exposition. We have a partner from California Lutheran University, and they are all part of the committee, and they are part of the planning, and they have joined the vision that we have for our schools and for our community and for our students. With our Mixteco committee, we also have representation from the Mixteco Indigenous organizing group, I believe it's called MICAP. And we also have members that belong to the Tequio group. Tequio works with young students in developing their leadership skills and helping them become confident and be proud of their ethnic identity. So I will ask Alberto to maybe mention a few things that I'm forgetting now, but we do have strong partnerships with the community. We just recently got an email from someone from the County Office of Ed asking if he could join our committee, our Family and Community Engagement Committee. So I think the word is out there that about the work that we're doing, and that we're doing it for our families and for our students. And we continue to get emails or phone calls from people in the community that want to be part of it.
So I just wanted to add, there are some questions on the chat, and Tanya, we'll get to those. If not, we can send you an email. But just a question kind of connecting to our community, I guess, links. Antonia asked what staff or people were involved in the planning, implementation, or priors for this specific event. So this specific event with, like say, the African American event that we had, again, the event itself, even we had kind of breakout sessions. We had the drum circle, we had the drum making. So all of these different breakout sessions were community led. So they were by the university. There were, someone from the sorority, teachers. So it wasn't even necessarily us that were leading these breakout rooms or leading these activities. They were led by community members, organizations. So the event itself was again, all community built. So it wasn't just us at the district that, yes, maybe it was us that were coordinating and getting things together. But at the end of the day, when that event did happen, it was, the community that was really there, that was all built on community individuals. So I hope that answers that
Thank
question.
you, Alberto. I have a comment that I'm going to make really quick. I know we still have questions, but I also want to see if we can move on to the ideas and concepts that square with us. I'm going to ask the participants as well to go ahead and put that in the chat, because I think Alberto and Teresa would love to see those comments as well. I know our time is always not enough for what we'd like to share. So any comments you have, please put them in the chat as well. And just looking forward as to what are those ideas and concepts, and maybe some points that we want to remember. Go ahead and you can add those to the chat, but we'll continue to answer any other questions. Alberto, is there another question that?
I mean, there was
Excuse
someone
me.
that had their hand up. I don't know where it
Yes.
was. True. Yeah.
Doa. Oh, there it is. You can see them all.
Yes, I went ahead and stopped sharing, and then that way we can capture everything in the chat, and then I'll just go back and then just copy it into that document. So I think that would be a better way to use our
Tony,
time.
and you will
Yes.
get a copy. You will get a copy of the slides. We have a slide that has some resources for you. So just wanted to let you know that there are some resources embedded in the slides.
And this is where the relationships continue, right, Tere? This is where we have our questions, we have our doubts, we want to know more, how we can do it at our schools. And this is where we have that opportunity to reach out between our PLLNs, to continue the work. And also, it says what squares with me is the development of the AA steering committee and the variety of diverse stakeholders that are included. Thank you, Dee Dee, for sharing that.
Excuse me, just one quick question. I couldn't check in on my computer. I stepped in and stepped out. Really quick. I know that the video was awesome. Thank you for sharing that. It was amazing. I work at a high school. I know that engaging our high school parents is very, very difficult. So do you guys share this with your high schools also? Are they participant? Because I only see elementary. I saw
Yeah.
elementary, not middle school. I think there were more elementary students.
Yeah, we are
How do you guys do that?
we are a K-8 school district.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not unified. We're TK through 8.
No wonder. Thank you.
I think Doa wanted to speak, and then I have my hand up as well, please.
Are you still taking questions? Sorry, I know. Yes? Okay.
Okay.
So I know some people did ask us kind of like close to my questions, but I do want to hear so you used a parent survey or a family survey, but how did you advertise that with your families? Like, what are the tools that you used, and how was the turnout comparing to the number of families that you have, like your statistics? Maybe can you speak a little bit to that?
Yes, so we gather feedback in different ways. One way in which we gather feedback is after every meeting that we have with our families, we have a quick survey for families to let us know about the meeting specifically, about future topics, something that they learned, something that they are wondering. So we continue to gather feedback like that. We also have an annual family engagement and LCAP survey that we work with Panorama, and they customize our surveys so that every year we send it out and we keep it open for a month. So that gives us a lot more feedback in different areas, including the LCAP. And then we find a time during the year to share the findings of the feedback with our families. So we are utilizing different ways to gather feedback, because I think that is very critical, not just a one-time survey, but whenever you have your meetings, gather feedback there so that it can inform you and guide your next steps as you are thinking about your future meetings and topics.
Well,
So
thank you.
I
Thank you.
just want to add quickly, Tony, I don't know if she specifically also touched on what Doa was trying to get at as well, that very initial survey to see how we got our parents. That very first survey we sent out through text. We sent out a phone call letting families know, hey, we're sending out a survey. We want feedback on this, subject, and we just sent these out just to those families. So we did send out phone calls and texts asking for these families. So that was our initial point of contact: a phone call and a text.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I know we can continue here all day, and I know that many of your districts as well are also having in place many culturally responsive activities as well. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to continue the conversation. We're going to head back. Elizabeth will share in the chat right now. We're heading back to our main room. So we'll be heading back to our main room. We have a transition time. We have 2 minutes to get back there. We'll be back there at 11:20. So thank you so much. Thank you, Oxnard. Let's give them a big round of applause. This is awesome work that they're doing. Thank you, all of you that were here today. We had more than 44 participants. So now we can head back. If anybody has any other concerns,
And we welcome your feedback. So we are not perfect. We are still growing. We are still learning, and we are learning from all of you. So feel free to get in touch with us, with Alberto. We will be happy to share more.
Thank you, everyone. So we're gonna head back. You do have in the chat, there is the link to the main room, and it's also in our agenda, our participant folder agenda.
Alicia. Sorry,
Thank you,
Daniela,
Tony.
could you please write your question in the chat so we can answer it later?
Yeah, we're going to capture everything in the chat. Thank you, Dr. David. Thank you, Elizabeth, for capturing what was said in the chat here. And it's also on recording. But remember, between our PLLNs, reach out, take advantage of all this wealth of knowledge.
Thanks, Tony. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Gusto ver a todos. Qué gusto.
Gracias.
Thank you. I wish I could